Well, we're in the midst of summer, and for summer, for a lot of families, it means vacation. But have you ever thought what would happen if SHTF happened while you're on vacation? And you know, that really depends. Are you traveling by car? Are you taking a camping vacation? Are you flying? Or are you flying even internationally? I mean, it depends on where you take your vacation, what kind of preps you can take with you. So let me give you a little scenario. So last fall, my sister-in-law and I took a vacation to Las Vegas. We go about every other year. And this time it was about a week after that terrible massacre where 58 people were killed. Now, we rented a car because we wanted to take a series of day trips. And one of those day trips was to Death Valley. Now, if you've never been to Death Valley, it's hard to describe. It's really, really large. That national park is over 5,200 square miles. I mean, it's huge. And part of the park is in Nevada, and part of the park is in California. And if you haven't had a chance to see it, the terrain can be pretty desolate. And if you're taking one of the side roads, you may never see another person all day long, depending on the time of the year when you come. Now, this was the area that so many people perished when they were trying to get to the gold fields in California. However, there are over 6,000 abandoned mines in Death Valley alone. Now, what a lot of people know Death Valley for is hot temperatures. In 1913, it reached 134 degrees Fahrenheit. And what's even more impressive, the ground temperature can be hotter than the above temperature. So in I think it was 72, the ground temperature registered 212 degrees Fahrenheit. I mean, it seemed like it would burn the soles off your shoes. Now, in the heat of the summer, when you're out there, you have to be careful about your cell phones. Number one, they might not work, there might not be any reception, which we found quite a bit in the park. But also, after 10 minutes in the sun, you might be getting a warning they have to turn off and they have to cool. And do not rely on GPS because it's notoriously wrong. Now, one little side bit, many of the scenes in the original Star Wars trilogy was shot right at Death Valley. So while I'm driving through the park, I couldn't help thinking, gosh, what would happen if we were hit with an EMP or some major SHTF event? You know, the other people we saw in the park mainly were international visitors. We saw a lot of people from Germany and Australia, but really not that many from the United States. But still, you could travel a road and not see a car for some time. So what would happen if our car broke down, or did it break down? Was it an EMP? You know, unless you get a lot of cars going past, then you know you got engine failure or there's something wrong with your car. But if you never see another car or another person, you're just going to think you have engine failure. So then you got to look at what supplies do you have. Well, we definitely carried water with us, very, very important. And we had some food bars. We also had windbreakers because it might get a little bit chillier at night. The time of the year we were there was October, so I think it was low 90s during the day and low 60s at night. So pretty nice weather. But we had windbreakers just in case, and so we could have used those for sun protection if need be. We had flashlights and we had maps, and that's very important, and to pick up a map of the park when you get in there. And of course, I also had my trusty travel kit, and I take this whenever, especially if I do airline travel. And in this kit, well, number one, got a little thing to take field notes, a little extra battery, but I do have a lighter. I do have flashlight, and of course I also have duct tape and N95 mask just in case. I have important numbers back here, and this is of course not a knife because I can't get on a plane with it, but it does give me a little bit of tools. Okay, so you know, not a lot. And it has scissors, which I'm having problems getting out right now. And so Emma has scissors too. So just a little multi-tool, because any multi-tool with a knife would have been confiscated by the TSA. And it has a little ferro rod, couple other things like fabric tape in case I have a wardrobe emergency, lip chap, which could be important if you are hiking in the desert. Anyway, some other items. So I always have this with me. But to me, the most important thing we had in that car was maps. I mean, so easy to get disoriented when it is not an area you know well. So we would think, even if it was EMP, probably that our car broke down. Unless we saw other hikers and they told us, boy, a lot of people's cars seem to break down. So then our decision would be, do we stay with the car? Well, that might depend on how far we are from a visitor center or another place that would have water. So if we were in walking distance, we might decide to hoof it. But depending on where you are in the park, that could be a very long hike. And this is one where decision making would be, you lack information, right? Your cell phone's not working, you don't know really what's happening, and you're a stranger in a strange land, so to speak. So anyway, didn't happen. We had a marvelous time, loved seeing the sights, but unfortunately Scotty's Castle was closed. And I've seen that before, and I really enjoyed the tour, and I couldn't share that experience with my sister-in-law this time. But just think, what if? All vacations are different, so it depends if you're camping 30 minutes from home or have taken a very long plane trip to an exotic land. But there are some rules. Number one, do not panic. That won't help anything. Stay calm so you can think clearly. Number two, try to get as much information as you can. That is really, really important to know what you are dealing with. Number three, formulate a plan. And very often that's to, how can I get home? And sometimes there's a window of opportunity right after something happens. So you have to formulate that plan and go for it. And of course, always have plan B. The prepping supplies you've brought with you will be much different if you're on a camping trip or if you're flying. But always bring the following. Make sure you have water, have some food bars or some other nutrition, have a flashlight, have a way, preferably 2 ways, of making fire. Have important numbers with you, just in case your cell phone would get lost, so you could call others. And also, if you're flying, know the airline's numbers in case you can quickly get a flight out of the city. I also think it's great if you can bring an AM, FM shortwave radio with you. That's a great way to get more information if possible. Always nice to have an emergency blanket. Really does not take up much room at all. And make sure you're wearing comfortable, preferably hiking shoes or boots. And that's really important if you're on a business trip, and if you're ladies and wear the high heels, that won't get you that far. So make sure you also have comfortable shoes and an extra pair of socks. Oops, I should mention, we also, my sister-in-law and I, had a nice cash stash, cash roll so to speak, because why were we in Vegas? To gamble at night. So we had that as another prep. And I guess I should add that to that list that I just mentioned, because it's a good idea to have cash in addition to your debit or credit cards, because depending on what happens, maybe they won't work, and then you have to rely on cash. And also, in the initial SHTF, cash will probably be able to let you buy what you might need to get back home. So anyway, that's my thoughts. I'd like to hear from you what you bring, especially if you're flying. You know, how do you do? Do you buy a knife on the other end? Do you always ship your bag so you can have a knife in it? Do you actually ship your guns? I don't do that. It really costs too much money. But how do you deal with vacation, and how do you prep in case an SHTF event would occur? Please reply below. And as always, thank you so much for supporting my channel. And as always, please subscribe, share the knowledge, and thumbs up if you like this video.